Tonight, driven by greed during a time of unprecedented crisis for the NHS. A doctor and her husband are jailed for 10 months for selling PPE online during the height of the pandemic.
As a doctor, you clearly knew that this PPE was essential for your colleagues' safety and by extension their families.
Also making the headlines, the affordable mid-market rents costing tenants dearly. A call for the Scottish Government to introduce stricter controls. In sport, Kieran Tierney says he's nothing to prove as he prepares for his first match back at Celtic Park.
And I'm in Aberdeen for the arrival of the tall ships. Going to be a fantastic weekend, although a bit of a soggy one. Also looking pretty wet for some of us through the weekend too. I'll be back later on with the forecast.
I'm John Mackay. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. A breach of trust driven by greed. A doctor and her husband who sold stolen NHS personal protective equipment online during the height of the pandemic, a time when there was a global shortage of masks and gloves, have been jailed for 10 months each. Atia Sheikh had been working as a locum at Hairmyres Hospital in East Kilbride at the time. More than 100 boxes of protective gloves and masks were found by police at her home in Thornliebank near Glasgow. Tara Fitzpatrick was in court.
Dr Sheikh and her husband didn't want to answer any questions about their crime as they arrived at Paisley Sheriff Court for their sentencing this morning. Once inside, both were sent to prison.
Are you sorry for your action? Are you ashamed of yourself?
There was an extreme shortage of PPE not only in this country but globally. As a doctor, you clearly knew that this PPE was essential for your colleagues' safety and by extension their families. Your dishonest actions deprived your colleagues of this equipment. You chose to sell the PPE that you knew was stolen from the NHS online for financial gain.
The couple stood expressionless with their heads down after Sheriff Gill delivered their prison sentence. Neither, she said, had shown any genuine remorse for their conduct, which she described as an egregious breach of trust during a time of unprecedented crisis for the NHS.
At the home Dr Sheikh shared with her husband in East Renfrewshire, police found a stash in the attic containing hundreds of protective gloves and masks. The investigation began after a supplier of PPE spotted it for sale on eBay. Dr Sheikh had been working at Hairmyres Hospital in 2020. She claimed a man there had given her the gloves, but no such person was ever traced.
She obviously knew they were stolen, but she said she bought them from a man in the car park. I struggle to believe that. She provided a name, but we couldn't identify anyone of that name who worked in the hospital. We identified that she'd made over almost £8,000 in sales, and we believe that she was selling between £15 and £20 a time. So it's estimated that she must have sold somewhere in the region of 400 boxes. It's a disgrace what they've done. A clinician working in the hospital would know during the pandemic just the importance of PPE and the pressure the service was under in getting PPE.
The General Medical Council, which regulates doctors, says it is aware of Dr Sheikh's sentencing and that her licence to practice medicine will be determined by an investigation. Arriving in court today, she was already unemployed, having lost her job with NHS Lanarkshire as a result of the criminal proceedings. Tara Fitzpatrick, STV News, Paisley.
Renters in so-called affordable mid-market housing have told STV News their continued rent increases are pushing them to live beyond their means. Their concerns come as a Scottish Government consultation on rent control zones and exemptions comes to an end today. Tenants want stricter controls when it comes to rent rises, but landlords are warning it will reduce the supply and quality of properties in the sector. Vanessa Taff reports.
Since moving into her mid-market flat in 2021, Tessa's rent has gone up every year. It started off as being affordable. It's now anything but.
It's really pricing us out now, to the point where, we're living beyond our means. I'm a parent of a child with disabilities, and we were looking for a very specific home for us for a long term. And we weren't able to get into social housing, so this was the next best thing. But unfortunately, affordable housing isn't that affordable anymore.
To manage the rate of rent increases, the Scottish Government are proposing controls which councils would be in charge of implementing. A consultation on which types of properties would be excluded from regulation ends today.
The exemptions as part of rent controls are most likely to have the biggest impact on cities like here in Edinburgh and in Glasgow, where the housing emergency is at its most acute. But those exemptions and wider rent control zones won't be in place until at least another 2 years in 2027.
Campaigners are worried some of the proposed controls are watering down renters' rights.
The proposals are firstly very vague. So I think it puts the whole bill on quite shaky ground legally. But also more to the point, they're proposing situations under which a landlord would be able to increase rent by more than the cap. The cap's already set at inflation plus 1%. It feels like the Scottish Government, having come so close to doing what was needed, is buckling yet again to the landlord lobby.
Scottish landlords are firmly against rent controls, warning they will reduce supply and quality within the sector, driving more of them to sell up. The Scottish Government say the responses will help to strike the right balance between renters and landlords while continuing to support investment in the sector. For renters like Tessa, who are looking towards their future finances, rent controls will play a crucial role. Vanessa Taff, STV News in Edinburgh.
A man who left a woman brain damaged in a street attack has been jailed for 9 years after being convicted of attempted murder. 32-year-old Michael Harvey brutally attacked his victim outside a hotel in Glasgow city centre, repeatedly banging her head off the ground. Police officers took the couple to hospital, but the pair left before the victim was checked over. A 37-year-old man is in hospital after an alleged stabbing in the Thornley Bank area of Glasgow. Police were called to Carnwadrick Road at around 11:30 last night. A 44-year-old man has been arrested in connection with the incident, which police are treating as attempted murder. No data was stolen during a cyber attack on Glasgow's City Council, experts say. The incident last month impacted a range of services, including paying penalty charges. The council says that while there is evidence of attempts to download data, none was successful. All servers are expected to be back online by the middle of next month. Like you've never seen it before, for the first time, the public will get the chance to see inside the Queensferry Crossing. Tours in September will see behind the scenes of the £1.3 billion bridge, and the lucky winners of a charity raffle will be taken to the highest point of the structure. Our reporter Lewis Mickey has been getting an exclusive look.
Many of us have driven across this bridge. More than 75,000 vehicles use it each day, but far fewer have had the chance to see inside it. In September, as part of Doors Open Day, 180 visitors will get to see the interior of the bridge, starting here under the road on the box girder deck. Then a look at where the cable stays are anchored in the middle of the busy lanes. And we've been getting a special preview of a prize of the tallest order. 5 raffle winners will win a pair of tickets to ascend to the top of one of the bridge's towers. There's plenty of fantastic views across Scotland, but this might just be the most rare of them all to experience. We're right at the tippy top of the Queensferry Crossing, more than 600 feet above the water below on the North Tower. And frankly, the views up here are absolutely ridiculous. The kind of sights you expect atop the UK's tallest bridge.
People will come get inside the bridge abutment, see where all the main elements of the structure are sat. They'll get to see various components of the bridge, like the bearings, the expansion joints, the cable stays, and there'll be guides to take them round and explain all these different aspects of the structure.
Funds from the raffle will go towards the charity Chest, Heart and Stroke Scotland.
We exist to help the 1.1 million people in Scotland living with chest, heart, stroke conditions, as well as long COVID. I get to do a lot of brilliant things in my work. I get to go to a lot of great sites, but this is definitely unique. It's an absolute privilege to be here and be part of this.
Potentially a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, not just to see the inner workings of this feat of engineering, but maybe even to get the bird's-eye view from the top. Lewis Mickey, STV News, on the Queensferry Crossing.
Business owners in Glasgow's West End say they've been left thousands of pounds out of pocket after flash flooding hit the area. Earlier this week, 5 days worth of rain fell within just a couple of hours in Finnieston. Those impacted say flooding is a repeated issue and want more to be done to stop it happening again. Vidushi Tavari reports.
This was the scene at one of the West End's most popular bars on Tuesday.
So this was actually where it all happened here. The videos were taken from this viewpoint.
The Kelvin Grove Cafe on Argyle Street is one of the worst affected by the flooding.
Water was up to about here, and as I said, it was in every single room. This is direct damage due to the flood here. There's a grate behind you just here where water was pouring in from as well. Off its hinges, water pouring through here. These are all our wet vacs that we've bought, and pumps and stuff, and equipment and wellies.
Walking us through the basement, owner Kirsty Oates said she'd never seen it this bad.
It was in the cellar, it was in here, it was in the kitchen, it was in every single room downstairs, completely submerged. But you can see all my damage to my walls here. You can really smell it, right? And how can I charge people £15 for a breakfast and a cocktail while they're sitting in, you know?
Now it's estimated around 10 to 15 millimetres of rain, that's around 5 days worth, fell within just a few hours on Tuesday. But for people here on the city's Argyle Street, it was nothing new. They say the flash flooding has been an ongoing issue for years.
I went downstairs and it was literally splunging with sewer water. And I just felt dreadful. I felt a bit embarrassed, actually. It's certainly not been the first time, and I doubt it will be the last.
In my 9 years at this premises, this has happened over 10 times. Conservatively, we were out of pocket about £20,000 probably. It's completely unsustainable, and I also think unforgivable.
Scottish Water says it's referred localised sewer flooding reports to its flooding investigation team for review. Meanwhile, Glasgow City Council says it's only responsible for street-side gullies and roadside water drainage, not overflowing sewers.
It's completely demoralising. To know that you're not protected by two public bodies that we're paying money for. We're holding up our side of the bargain. Why aren't they holding up theirs?
For now, Kirsty fears the next flood could be right around the corner.
This is a bit of an example on the flood defences we've bought. We've got sandbags out constantly now here. I mean, it looks like the trench is out here.
This time, her and the team are already steeling themselves, with more wet weather to come this weekend. Vidushi Tavari, STV News in Finnieston.
One person has been taken to hospital after a fire broke out at a sheltered housing complex in Newton Mearns this morning. Several fire engines and ambulances were dispatched to Broomburn Drive. 4 other people were treated at the scene. Caitlin Hutchison was there for us earlier on.
This is a major fire that's broken out here at a 3-storey building, with one resident that was evacuated telling me that their flat right at the end there has been entirely gutted. Now, emergency services were called to Broomburn Drive just after 10:30 this morning after flames were seen spreading from a second-floor flat to the roof. 6 fire engines and specialist crews are on site tackling what's been described as a well-developed blaze, but now appears to be largely under control. Pictures from the scene when the fire was at its height show thick smoke and visible flames pouring from the top of the building.
Oh my God. We were just working and
yeah, and then we heard all the kind of commotion of people kind of walking about and stuff, and then it was just a lot of smoke coming out for a while, and then it kind of just burst out the window in flames. So yeah.
Not the window, the roof.
Yeah, the roof.
It's elderly.
Yeah, elderly flat. So it was people in wheelchairs, people with poor mobility that were coming out, and it's just it's quite stressful because we obviously hope that everybody's actually physically able to get out okay.
It's clear that a number of people are not going to be able to return home to their flats tonight. I'm told that the property owner has arranged temporary accommodation for them.
Investigations into how this fire broke out will now begin. Caitlin Hutchison, STV News, Newton Mearns.
Now Jamie's here with the sport, and it's back to the football tonight, Jamie.
Yeah, still can't take my eyes off the golf, John. Some brilliant action at the Open that we'll show you later on, but you can feel that new season football vibe starting to rise. We've been speaking to a bit of a returning hero down at Celtic Park today.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith Summer Sale.
A very good evening. Kieran Tierney says he's the easiest signing Celtic will ever make, revealing he always had his heart set on playing for the club once again. And Tierney insists he has nothing to prove regarding his fitness as he prepares to run out at Celtic Park for the first time since sealing his return. He's the Celtic re-signing months, some may argue years, in the making. After departing his boyhood club in 2019, Kieran Tierney is back in green and white.
It's probably the easiest signing Celtic's had to make and easiest decision I've had to make as well. It was when I knew I was going to be a free agent in the summer. Things can happen in January, so the talks obviously started then. And once we found out it wouldn't happen in January, it was like, it'll be the summer, first thing in the summer. But being with the gaffer again and people like John Kennedy, who I've always kept in touch with, is amazing. Like, I've loved playing under a gaffer. Like, played so many games under him, was so successful. I'm so happy. A great manager, and delighted to be back with him as well.
Tierney's missed games for Arsenal and Scotland in previous seasons, but insists he has nothing to prove in terms of his fitness on his return to Scottish football.
Nah, nothing, because I know how much I work professionally myself, on my body, on my recovery, being as ready as I can be for games. So no, I'm not here to prove anything. I'm just here to do the best for Celtic, and personal and the collective one for me is just the same. It's just to keep Celtic successful as possible, maintain our place at the top, and I think that's the objective.
Tierney is raring to go for his Celtic Park return when they face Newcastle United in a friendly tomorrow afternoon. Now, St Mirren are on the brink of signing their second Jamaican international of the summer, with Stephen Robinson ready to welcome attacker Jalmaro Calvin to his squad. St Mirren host Annan Athletic in the League Cup tomorrow, with a look ahead to the latest group stage action. Here's Stephanie Daly.
After Tuesday's 2-1 win over Forfar, St Mirren host Annan in the Premier Sports Cup tomorrow. Ahead of the game, manager Stephen Robinson has been closing in on his second signing from Jamaica, winger Jalmaro Calvin.
Jalmaro is somebody we've liked for a long time. Again, we've got good connections with Cavalier in Jamaica, who won the league in Jamaica and are producing a lot of really, really good, fast, quality players. And Jalmaro is somebody that we liked.
A foot injury forced Stephen Mallon out of football for over 18 months. Now the former Hibs and St Mirren midfielder is back after signing a one-year deal with St Johnstone.
Definitely times where, as my wife knows, I was thinking about just packing it in. Like there was tough times where I would get to a certain point of fitness, couldn't do some things with my foot, and I had to go back to the basics and the start. So that was the tough part. So she kind of put up with a lot of my stress for the year, especially involving a baby and things like that. It was crazy, but yeah, we got here in the end.
Stephen Presley admits Dundee are nowhere near where they want to be this season, but he has firm belief in the process. Tomorrow, the Dark Blues will bid to bounce back from defeat at home to Airdrie in their opening Premier Sports Cup match when they travel to Alloa.
We're expected to win, the pressure's all on us, but that's part of being a football. That's part of being a club like Dundee. You have to handle the pressure, you have to accept the pressure and the expectation.
Stephanie Daly, STV Sport.
Well, to rugby now, and Scotland head coach Gregor Townsend says that his players' experiences on tour this summer will make them stronger going into the new season. Scotland ended their Pacific tour with a 41-12 victory over Samoa in Auckland in New Zealand this morning. The Scots also defeated the Maori All Blacks and lost to Fiji during the three-game tour.
We've had a relatively positive season. We didn't get the results we wanted in the Six Nations, but the performances were right up there. And this tour and the experiences our players are getting on the lines will make us a stronger team going into next season.
I don't think there'll be many more sort of harder challenges than Fiji and playing in New Zealand and getting results. So, you know, for some of the guys, we had a couple of debuts over the last couple of games, and it can only be positive for us going forward.
And now on to the golf, and Robert McIntyre has thrown himself into contention for the Open Championship after a superb round of 66 at Royal Portrush.
I mean, I'm in a good spot. I feel happy, confident, comfortable. So yeah, I'm going to go out there and give it my best shot all the way to Sunday afternoon. Let's press. It was always like, right, let's go out here with pars. Whereas this week, hopefully come the 69th, 70th hole I've got a chance, and if I've got a chance, we'll roll it.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith Summer Sale.
And just before I go, another good day for Oscar Onley to report in the Tour de France, finishing 7th in the time trials and pushing himself up to 5th in the general classification. And that is all your sport for tonight. John?
It was all there, Jamie. It was all there. Thank you. The tall ships have arrived in Scotland. Nearly 50 magnificent vessels have sailed into Aberdeen Harbour. It's been almost 3 decades since the tall ships race last visited the city. The ships set sail from Dunkirk and now have docked for a weekend of celebrations before continuing their journey to Norway on Tuesday. Gráinne na Gcraiceann has been out soaking up the atmosphere.
A spectacular sight. These iconic tall ships have returned to Aberdeen for the first time in nearly 30 years. Arriving from the shores of Dunkirk, these magnificent ships are now berthed in the Granite City.
It's been almost 3 decades since the last international tall ships races were held here in Aberdeen, and as you can see, almost 50 vessels from all across the world are arriving here ahead of the much anticipated weekend.
A forest of masts has cast a colourful splash on the Granite City, not seen here since 1997. With the energy of the event building, crowds are gathering to absorb the sunshine and the atmosphere.
Massive, yeah, massive now, yeah.
Much better now, far better.
There was a lot of har, which is typical for Aberdeen, and we saw one of the boats come through the har, and it was like a Pirates of the Caribbean moment, wasn't it?
I live in Aberdeen, so it's not as though I've come far.
Beautiful city, and they've got all these tall ships here. I'm just so excited. It's just great.
Just decided we would stay because it looked really interesting and exciting. So yeah, that's why we're here. It's lovely.
Ranging from large sailing ships to smaller single-mast boats, the tallest ship is sitting at more than 200 feet tall, and one has travelled all the way from Peru. A remarkable 400,000 visitors are expected to descend on Aberdeen over the 4-day festival, and businesses are already feeling the boost.
To be honest, very, very busy. We're dead centre, we're right by the quay, we're right next to the entrance where everything's going on. And I think everybody's kind of aware of that too. We've seen people coming in during the week, so it's not just this weekend that we're busy for. All the build-up, there's been more and more people around Aberdeen, all checking in with us. We've had some of the sailors coming in yesterday as well, talking about all the events and all the hard work. So they've been up at 6, 7 in the morning today. So,
set to be the biggest tourist event in the country this year, a team of volunteers are making it all possible.
In total, there's over 200 of us. And the ship liaison officers, who are the contacts between the ships and the bigger team. So I think there's about 50 of us. Yeah.
And it's not just tall ships you can board.
Thank you very much.
It's been a really busy year for Mersey. We've generated 2 frontline operations, and since we've done that, we've escorted 6 potentially hostile nation vessels through UK territorial waters. So this is a really good opportunity to give something back to our crew and to engage with the local population of Aberdeen and the other ships that have attended the Tall Ships Festival.
Tonight, the legendary Deacon Blue kicks off the weekend before all the festivities get underway tomorrow. There's no doubt this will be an event remembered for decades to come. Gráinne na Gcraiceann, STV News.
Looks like it could be spectacular. So what's the weather going to be like for the tall ships? Sean is in Aberdeen to tell us.
John, do you know what? I feel I want to hide because what a stunning day it's been, and it's been so nice to see the boats arriving today in this brilliant sunshine. Of course, telling everybody it's always like this in Scotland, but unfortunately tomorrow, big changes on the way, some heavy rain to come here. Now, we've got a lot on at the weekend in central and western parts of Scotland. We've got things like the Merchant Festival, we've got the Morven Games, we've got the Burnt Island Games, which are on Monday. We've also got Crail Fest. Unfortunately, it is looking wet tomorrow. There could be some thundery rain, especially in central parts of the country. Let's have a look at what's in store where you are.
Outbreaks of ancient sites will gradually settle into an evening of pizza plates al fresco,
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
It's a beautiful day up here, but what have we got on the go this weekend? Well, it's Merchant City Festival, and unfortunately it is looking pretty wet for that. Probably not too bad tomorrow. Rain should be a wee bit more showery. Probably until late afternoon we could get some heavy bursts of rain and more rain coming in on Sunday. For the Morven Highland Games, we're far enough to the north here that we actually hang on to better weather tomorrow. So we hang on to a lot of dry weather, sunshine, feeling quite pleasant in the sunshine, but cater for the risk of some showers, especially a little bit later on in the day. Now, we've got some showers still out there today. I was driving through some showers earlier on, torrential downpours with the higher temperatures around. Still got some heavy showers across the parts of Argyll and Bute, but most of those clearing away. And your overnight lows again on that higher side. Glasgow, Renfrewshire, probably staying about 16 degrees, which is 61 in Fahrenheit. So tomorrow morning, our thundery rain, it starts off across Yorkshire about 9 o'clock in the morning, but watch what happens. Very bright colours in there, some yellows, even some reds in there, pink shades, heavy bursts, torrential rain, but it looks as if the worst of it will be a bit further east. So if you're watching from the likes of Fife and Falkirk, Clackmannanshire, Lanarkshire, Stirlingshire, some heavy bursts of rain during tomorrow. Your top temperatures, probably Fort William tomorrow, up to a high of about 22 degrees Celsius. So we've got that heavy rain coming in and moving its way northwards. As I say, the further northwest we go, we hang on to the better weather till later on. So that's why our temperatures here are a wee bit higher. Further south, we're in the teens with that rain around. Then as we head into Sunday, more heavy and at times possibly thundery rain, especially central and southern parts. Again, the further north we are, the rain's a little bit more showery, so quite a wet weekend ahead. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
And that's it from us, from all of your STV News team. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.